Parker brothers build the Boardwalk. Last week, Lord Babington convinced Lady Denham to host a fox hunt, and everyone is preparing for it. Meanwhile, at Lady Denham's house, Esther is pulling on her gloves, preparing for a morning ride with Babington.
Riding today, are you?
Yes.
You know, I was an excellent rider in my day.
Who are you, Aunt?
I'm tempted to join you all at the hunt. I could do with a change of pace.
You, Aunt? In a fox hunt? You might hurt yourself.
I am 70, not 100. I mean to give it a try. I shan't try to stay with the hounds, mind you. I'll leave that to the young people, but I could at least be in the party.
Why don't you watch from the hill in your carriage? You'll be far more comfortable.
Being a spectator is fine for the infirm. I can still sit a horse.
Esther raises her eyebrows and lets the subject drop.
Babington and I will be out all morning. I will see you at dinner.
Have a nice time, dear.
Esther looks at Lady Denham, unaccustomed to being called dear by her aunt. She hesitates, then gives her a kiss on the cheek and leaves. Lady Denham puts her hand up to where her cheek has been kissed.
I did something right when I put them together. Becca, fetch me my riding coat. Let's see if it still fits.
Your riding coat, ma'am?
You needn't act so surprised.
But you've not ridden since the last hunt at Sir Harry's, which would have been...
Who says I cannot ride just as well now? Find it, and I will show you I can sit a horse just as well as in 1799.
At the same time, in the Sanditon Hotel, Diana and Arthur are eating breakfast. Sydney sits beside them, reading the paper.
What do you know? We made it into the paper. A fox hunt to be held by Lady Denham at Sanditon House on the Sussex coast. It's on the last page, but still, must be Babington's doing.
Tom will be so pleased.
I've been thinking I should like to ride in the fox hunt.
You, Arthur? But you've never ridden before.
Oh, not true, Diana, not true. We rode on the beach last summer.
Sidney gives a slight shake of his head in disbelief and goes back to his paper.
But Arthur, this is a very different sort of riding. There will be jumps and galloping. You will break your neck.
Faith, Diana, faith. It will be good for me. Does not Dr. Fuchs recommend more exercise? And this would be excessively diverting.
But you don't have a horse.
Well, Tom has horses to spare. Surely he has an old one that can keep in tolerable order. Besides, it is not speed that counts. It takes brains to outsmart the fox.
I don't think that's how it works, Arthur. Sydney, Arthur is thinking of joining the hunt. Do you not think it's dangerous?
I am afraid you'll be in over your head, Arthur. You are not in the habit of riding. But if you start riding now, you could join us on the hunt next year.
You really think so? I was looking forward to it this year.
There are usually some who go along just for the ride. They stay to the back. Maybe you could be among the hill-toppers. But I would start riding now, if you mean to join next week.
I certainly shall. You see, Diana, Sydney thinks I can.
Sydney! I am sure he should better not.
He's a grown man, Diana. He can ride a horse.
Sydney gives an apologetic smile to Diana, bids them farewell, and leaves the table. That day, Charlotte is trying on a redingote, or a riding coat. Sims, the maid, works on taking in the waist, while Allison pins up the hem, and Mary looks on. Allison pricks her finger.
Oh, hold still, Charlotte, or the hem will be as lopsided as Sarah's puddings.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a thimble, Mrs. Parker?
Here. You look very smart, Charlotte. I had hoped one day to fit into this again, but I fear those days are over. Sims, could you take it in a little more right here?
Yes, Mum.
Now, Charlotte, with whom will you ride?
I hadn't thought about it.
Well, Tom and Sydney will stay with the hounds, of course. They love to be in the thick of things. It's difficult to jump the streams on a lady's saddle. I do not want to hear you have landed in the stream.
I have ridden in 2 hunts and did fall once while trying to cross the stream, so I would be glad to take the jumps a little bit slower. I will ride with Arthur.
Oh, I'm glad that Arthur is riding. He will be sore after, though.
Oh, Miss Lamb is also going to ride for the first time. Perhaps I can help her and Arthur to ease into it. We ride a bit every day.
Of course. What a fine idea. And if I had another side saddle, Alison could ride too. But I'm afraid we just have the 2.
Oh, I do not need to ride. I ride at home all the time.
The next day, Arthur, Georgiana, and Charlotte approached the old Parker home, named Parker Downs, on the outskirts of Old Sanditon at the top of the hill that overlooks the beach.
What a snug-looking place. It seems to have as many comforts about it as Willingdon.
You think so? This is where we all grew up. Tom lived here until he built Trafalgar House.
And who occupies it now?
Mr. Hillier, he manages all the farms connected with the estate.
Which room was yours, Arthur?
Oh, on the side just there, Tom and Sidney had a view of the town, but mine overlooked this beautiful valley and the swing.
The girls look over to the side garden, where a large oak tree spreads over a downward slope, where a wide wooden swing is suspended by ropes.
What a beautiful place to swing.
Arthur raps at the front door, and a middle-aged woman answers, who is very glad to see them.
Good day, Mrs. Hillier.
Good day, Mr. Arthur. How pleasant to see you again.
And you, would you be so good as to tell Mr. Hillier that we are ready for the horses?
Very good, sir. Would you like to wait inside?
No, thank you. I would like to show the ladies my old swing.
Oh, do, Mr. Parker, and tell your sister that I long to see the children here again. They enjoyed the swing so much the last time they came.
I surely will, Mrs. Hillier.
Arthur pushes Charlotte and Georgiana on the swing out over the downsloping hill. Sidney rides up from the stables.
Sidney!
Reliving your childhood, Arthur?
Diana and I had many hours on this swing.
Sidney smiles and watches them for a moment. Arthur lets the swing come to a stop.
Are you all riding this morning?
Yes, we're getting our horse legs under us today, so to speak. Well, except for Miss Hayward. She is already a horsewoman.
Do you like to ride, Miss Hayward?
Very much. Alison and I go every day at home, but we do not have such fine horses as Tom's.
What are you up to this morning, Sidney?
I'm shooting with Babington. But I could put it off for a little while if you don't mind one more in your party.
Charlotte looks down, and Georgiana looks at Charlotte.
I think we can manage, Mr. Parker. We might slow you down.
I am afraid you would be rather bored, Sidney.
As you wish.
Sidney turns and rides off in the direction of Sanditon House. While they have been talking, a couple of grooms bring out 3 horses and assist the girls onto side saddles. Arthur mounts with difficulty, and they depart for the beach. Charlotte leads her friends along the packed wet sand at a walk.
Are you ready?
Ready for what?
To ride.
Well, I thought that's what we were doing.
Charlotte smiles and urges her mare into a canter. Georgiana follows suit, but Arthur can only get his horse to a jarring trot. He bounces up and down most uncomfortably.
Faster, Arthur. Nudge her into a canter.
I don't want to go any faster, Miss Hayward.
It will be smoother if you take him into a canter.
Arthur relaxes his hold on the reins, and the horse breaks into a canter. They continue together for a few moments, smiling at each other and enjoying the ride.
Jolly fun, Miss Hayward. Faster is better.
Arthur nudges his horse with his knees to go faster.
Arthur, do not urge him.
Arthur's horse shoots off at a full gallop.
He'll kill himself.
Shall I go after him?
Wait, he's turning around.
Arthur comes back towards them and passes them at an uncontrolled gallop, calling, "Whoa," but not pulling on the reins. Bystanders on the beach start to gather and point. Charlotte and Georgiana turn around and follow him.
Pull back, Arthur! Pull back!
Arthur turns around at the end of the beach and manages to pull both reins this time, so that the horse slows to a walk and finally halts. Arthur dismounts and staggers a few steps until he regains control of his legs.
Are you all right?
I think so.
Why did you give him his head?
If cantering was so diverting, I thought galloping would be excessively so.
Obviously, you have not heard the adage, all things in moderation.
No, indeed, Miss Lam. I take your point, I think. I think I'm ready for the hunt. What say you?
Charlotte and Georgiana just shake their heads and laugh in disbelief.
Oh, Arthur.
What?
I think we had better ride again tomorrow.
To be sure. If I keep making this much progress, I will be in ship shape by the hunt.
On the morning of the hunt, horses, hunters, and hounds are gathered in front of Sanditon House. Lady Denham is off to one side, with 2 grooms trying to help her onto a side saddle. But no matter what method they try, she cannot get up. After many awkward attempts and much scolding by Lady Denham, she shoos the grooms away. Allison notices her trouble and comes over.
I don't know why I pay so many grooms and not one of them can help a lady mount a horse.
My lady, will you not join Mrs. Parker and me? We are watching from the hill, and it will be much more comfortable. We'll have a bird's eye view.
I suppose I might as well. Take her away, Jacobs.
The groom leads the horse away, and Lady Denham walks over to the open carriage, already full with Mary, Allison, and the children. They rearrange themselves so Lady Denham can have ample room.
I have ridden many hunts in my day, but Jacobs lets my mare get too fat. There was no way I could get on such a wide horse.
Oh, do not let it vex you, Lady Denham. A ride in the carriage is much more enjoyable, don't you agree?
Sidney rides up to Arthur, where he is mounted on his horse, drinking a glass of refreshment.
You were riding with Miss Hayward.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Now, don't let your horse have his head. He'll want to follow the pack, but it'll be best for you to hang back and keep an eye on Miss Hayward. Her horse is not very fast.
Keep an eye on Miss Hayward. She has been giving me lessons. We shall keep each other good company. Depend on it, brother.
Charlotte and Georgiana ride up on their mounts. Charlotte is on a gentle mare, but Georgiana is on a sleek, beautiful, but nervous steed, bred for hunting and on loan from Mrs. Campion.
Miss Hayward, Georgiana.
Good day, Mr. Parker.
Georgiana, Mrs. Campion may ask you to ride with us, and I know your mount can keep up, but I think it is safer if you stay back with Miss Hayward.
Georgiana rolls her eyes.
Eliza is experienced. She does not remember the dangers of riding as a novice. This hunter she loaned you, she's high-spirited. She'll want to take the difficult jumps, but I'd rather you not try it until you've had more practice.
Georgiana says nothing and looks at the sky, ignoring him. He gives her a disgruntled look, but keeps his voice calm.
Do you mind riding with Miss Hayward and Arthur?
That is what I would prefer.
Georgiana.
But thank Mrs. Campion for the invitation. Perhaps when I am more experienced, I may enjoy her company.
Sidney smiles one of his signature chagrined smiles and rides off to greet Lord Babington's brother and his wife.
Colonel Babington, Mrs. Babington, nice to see you again.
Well met, well met. A fine day for a hunt.
'Tis indeed.
And where is dear Mrs. Campion? I saw her only a moment ago, and I'm quite sure we have the same riding habit. But do not mind in the least, for she is the dearest creature in the world. And gentlemen always take notice when women are dressed alike, do they not, dear?
On the contrary, it makes it harder to tell one from the other, and that rather defeats your objective.
No, dear, I'm sure you are mistaken, for did you not take notice of me until the day I was dressed exactly like my sister?
True, I thought you were your sister.
And how I fooled you. You're so droll, Colonel. How you love a good teasing.
Mr. Hankins, clad in a well-worn riding coat, rides up to the group on an expensive hunter borrowed from Babington.
Reverend Hankins, well met. I did not know you had a taste for this sport. How do you like this horse of Babington's?
I think he'll keep up very well. It's been a while for me, though. It's good to be back in the saddle.
Well, good luck to you, sir.
And to you.
On foot, Mrs. Griffiths and the Beaufort girls approach Mr. Hankins.
I do hope you'll be careful, Mr. Hankins.
Not to worry, Mrs. Griffiths. This is not my first fox hunt.
Sidney and Colonel Babington join Mrs. Campion, Lord Babington, and Esther, all dressed to the nines in hunting regalia. Tom's horse circles nervously as he tries to get it under control. The horn sounds and the pack leaves. Arthur, Georgiana, and Charlotte canter behind at a slow pace, and the pack pulls away from them. The hounds cross the stream, and most of Sidney's group follows. Esther decides not to attempt the jump and trots along the bank to find an easier place to cross. She meets up with Charlotte, Georgiana, and Arthur.
Do you see an easier place to ford?
Perhaps a little further down.
While they search for a better place to cross, Babington retraces his steps, crosses the stream back to Esther's side, and catches up to them.
Darling, follow me. I know of a place to ford.
After crossing at a more level place, the Babingtons gallop off to join the pack. Charlotte and company leisurely follow once they are all across the stream.
Is this not glorious, Miss Hayward?
Yes, indeed.
I have never felt anything so exhilarating in my whole life. I just want to let her go and run on and on forever.
Just then, Arthur's horse is spooked by a rabbit and lunges, causing Arthur to lose his seat and fall. He lies flat on his back, with his eyes closed. The girls stop and dismount.
Mr. Parker, are you all right?
Mr. Parker, Arthur!
Oh.
He's had the wind knocked out of him.
Arthur, are you all right?
Oh, I'll be all right in a moment.
He opens his eyes, but looks dazed. Sidney rides up and jumps off his horse.
Is he all right?
Arthur feebly stretches out his hand. Sidney and Georgiana help him to sit up, while Charlotte tries to keep hold of the reins of 3 horses.
I just need to sit here for a moment.
Mary's carriage is coming this way. We can help him into it.
I will be all right. Go on, Sidney. You'll lose the trail.
I'll stay with Arthur till we can get him into the carriage or back on his horse. Perhaps Georgiana could go on with you. She's a very good rider.
I'd rather stay with you, Charlotte.
This is your chance to ride.
You can ride with me. We'll find the easier jumps.
Do you think I'm good enough?
Miss Hayward says you are. I trust her judgment.
Go on, Georgiana. You said you wanted to run.
Sidney lifts Georgiana back onto her horse and mounts his own. They canter off. The hunt ends with the prize going to Mr. Hankins. Tom and Sidney come to congratulate him.
Well done, Vicar. I did not know that you like to hunt.
Ah, yes. My cousin, Lord Althorpe, had many hunts on his estate. Those were some fine times we had.
Your cousin is Lord Althorpe?
Yes.
You are a man of many surprises today, Mr. Hankins. Well, shall we see you at Lady Denham's dinner?
Of course she will. He won the hunt.
Mr. Hankins smiles and raises the foxtail as a toast to the group. A few yards away, Georgiana dismounts, thanks Mrs. Campion for the loan of her horse, and walks up to Charlotte.
Well, how was it?
A little frightening, but Charlotte, I have never been so diverted in my whole life. That horse can run like the wind. Sidney would have had the prize if I'd not slowed him down.
See, I knew you would enjoy it.
How is Arthur?
Right as rain, after 3 glasses of wine. I expect his appetite will return by dinner.
The girls walk towards the house arm in arm, where they are met by Sidney, who is telling Tom about Arthur's mishap.
And so it was Charlotte to the rescue again. Faith, I think you must come to Sanditon permanently, Miss Hayward. We cannot seem to do without you.
Thank you for staying with Arthur. How is he?
Fine, but for a few bruises.
I say, Miss Lamb, quite the exhibition you gave today. And your first hunt, I predict you will take the prize next year.
I plan to, Mr. Parker. Perhaps your brother might find me a horse of my own.
If you like. You rode well today. I was most impressed.
Charlotte looks pleased as she watches Sidney with Georgiana. Georgiana smiles at Charlotte and squeezes her hand. They all continue toward the house together. Lady Denham's dining room is bursting with guests from the day's hunt. Mr. Hankins has the place of honor by Lady Denham, and seated nearby is Lord Babington's brother, the Colonel. The Colonel's wife, Lucy, is seated across from him. Mr. Hankins has been talking for a while about the estate of his cousin, Lord Althorp, to Lady Denham. She is getting bored, but he does not notice.
And I have not even told you about the stables yet. How many horses do you suppose he keeps in his stables?
A good many, no doubt.
No less than 100, Lady Denham, and of the finest pedigree.
Does he keep any asses?
Pardon? Oh, milk asses. I do not recollect, but surely he has a few donkeys for riding. That seems to be the thing nowadays. Entire house parties going to the seaside on donkeys. Even the Prince Regent partakes of the amusement.
I can't see the Prince Regent getting on a donkey any more than I can get on a horse. All the same, I must get a few more asses if that is the fashion. After my stables are built, I believe I shall.
Oh, do, Lady Denham, do. There's nothing so delightful, so refreshing as an alfresco luncheon. Riding a donkey gives one such an air of simplicity, la vie simple, such freedom from all the cares of this weary existence. When one has as many tenants as we do, one needs diversion such as this. The Colonel and I had a rustic picnic on our estate last summer, and it was the talk of the county, was it not, Humphrey?
Yes, dear, quite.
He did not have an easy time with his donkey, so he was not quite as enchanted with the day as the rest of us.
You mistook me, my dear. I had a very agreeable time.
It nearly threw him into the pond, it did, but he was very lucky. He was able to dismount just in time.
You exaggerate, my posy. I was in no such danger.
To hear him tell it, it was the dullest thing indeed. But I assure you, it was most exciting. Why, Lady Rosworth almost fainted with worry for her cousin. Upon my honor, she was in such a state. My husband is so handsome, Lady Denham, that he garners the goodwill of all the young ladies in his company.
Colonel Babington shakes his head and drinks thirstily from his goblet. His wife continues to laugh at him.
Lady Denham, you were saying you might do some renovation?
Babington is looking into it for me.
I see. Perhaps you would like to see the stables at Althorp for inspiration. I am sure my cousin would be delighted to oblige you.
No, The journey would be most inconvenient. Some fledgling architect is already putting high-flown ideas into Babington's head without him gallivanting off to Althorpe.
You've already engaged an architect?
Not exactly. A young chap is doing some preliminary drawings. He's cheap, I'll give him that. He may draw to his heart's content for what I'm paying him. Ladies, shall we withdraw?
Colonel Babington and the other men rise as the ladies leave. Lucy Babington grabs her husband's arm and pulls him with her out of the room.
Colonel, I need you.
The men watch them all go, then return to their seats and talk among themselves. Sidney leans over to Babington.
How did your brother meet his wife?
Where do you suppose? Brighton. I tried to warn him against her. He could not see her true colors. But he was set on making his fortune by marriage.
Indeed.
I consider myself much more fortunate. I knew exactly who Esther was before I married her. She was exactly what I wanted.
Would you have any advice in my present situation?
Advice? Haven't you already given Eliza your word?
Yes.
There's nothing for it then. You're in a tight spot. I'm sorry, old friend. But if there was a flame before, perhaps it could be rekindled?
I doubt it.
Perhaps it will burn out on her side if you leave it long enough.
I don't know that I can leave it that long. Lady Denham may send Tom to debtor's prison at any moment.
Has she said anything since the fire?
No, but we are all on edge.
I'll see if I can keep her reined in while you're gone.
Much obliged to you, friend.
You might be glad to hear that Lady D is going to put Stringer's men to work on her stables.
Indeed. I'm glad they will have work until we can finance the new terrace. What exactly is she doing?
Repairing the roof and stalls, first of all. I may convince her to front the stables in a modern style. Stringer has some good ideas.
Perhaps you can teach us the finer points of influencing Lady Denham.
Nothing to it, really. I just chose a project she already wanted to do. The terrace was a total gamble for Lady Denham. But rebuild her stables, and she gets more room to house her mill chassis, which in her mind are a capital investment. Never mind that it's not actually true.
The next morning, Charlotte finds Allison in the Trafalgar House morning room, reading a letter.
Is it from Mamma?
No, from Aunt Fanny in Eastbourne. There are still several cases of typhus. Here, you may read it. I was just getting ready to reply.
Allison?
What am I doing here, Charlotte? I've always wanted to see new places, but what good is it to see a new place when I cannot share them with Charles?
You share them with me.
Charlotte puts her arms around Allison and holds her close.
What's this?
Allison is missing Charles this morning.
Oh, my poor dear. What you need is something to take your mind off this sadness. I was planning to order a pair of shoes at William Healy's this morning. Could you not do with a new pair of shoes?
I have plenty of wear left in these.
But you need a pair of walking boots. Now, do not be alarmed at the cost. Tom says we must all look our best while in London.
I did not bring money to buy shoes nor dresses. I hope I will not disgrace you with what I brought.
My dear, of course you will not. But Tom and I mean to give you a few nice things to remember your visit. You have such a pretty ankle. It would be a shame not to fit it up in a smart boot.
If you think so, Mrs. Parker.
I do. Let us be off. Only, Charlotte, would you mind too much if I ask you to stay and look in on the children this morning? Sims does not have the way with them that you do. Tomorrow we can all walk out together.
Oh, of course. I would be happy to. Will you be calling on Lady Denham tomorrow?
I mean to call on her today, after Mr. Healy's. She will enjoy seeing Alison much more than she likes to see me.
Oh, surely not.
I do not know what you do to charm her, my dear, but you have a gift. Now wash those tears and meet me downstairs.
I do wish you could come with me, Charlotte. Lady Denham likes me only because I put up with her. I do feel sorry for her all alone in that great house, but I do not much care for her.
I must confess that I'm not sorry to miss the visit. Be ready for some quizzing about the phrases.
The phrases? How did she know about them?
I may have let it slip last time that John was enamored with you.
A fine friend you are. What prompted that revelation?
She asked me straight out how many beaux you had, so I told her you were admired by the younger Fraser.
Did you also tell her that the elder had proposed to you?
That had not come up.
Perhaps it will today. Turnabout is fair play.
You would not.
No, I would not, because I love my sister and I think before I speak.
I could not help it. I wanted her to know that you are the prettiest girl in Willingdon, since she was impertinent enough to ask.
Ah, Charlotte, you know that's not true. I will give no proof of beauty this morning with these dark circles.
You lack only the kiss of the Sanditon breezes.
You sound like Mr. Parker.
Well, it is brisk out. You must wear your warm bonnet and my lined cape.
Alison takes the bonnet from Charlotte and allows her to put a cape around her.
Now you're becoming like Miss Diana. Bundling up if she's even a wisp of cloud in the sky. You will be a Parker yet. It's bound to happen one way or another. If not by marriage, then by gradual absorption.
And the Parker by marriage ship has sailed.
He's done nothing more than to declare his destination. Last I heard, he was still in port.
Well, then I wish he would not shilly-shally. He should sail away and marry her so I could think about something else.
Alison and Mary step out of the house to see the stonemasons further down the street, repairing the foundation of the burned-out terrace. The ladies turn into Mr. Healy's shoe shop and look at a pair of boots.
Now, when you have such a pretty ankle, you should wear half boots. Nothing sets off a neat ankle more than a half boot. How do you like them?
Oh, Mrs. Parker, they are very smart, but so expensive.
Nonsense. What are a few shillings among friends?
Mr. Stringer and Mr. Robinson are talking close by as Mary and Alison come out of Mr. Healy's shop. Stringer nods to Mary and looks at Alison curiously. As the men continue to talk, Alison notices that Mr. Stringer continues to stare at her.
Can you tell me why that man keeps looking at us?
Young Stringer? He must be curious as to who you are.
Oh, that is Mr. Stringer.
I've never known him to be rude. He is much more genteel than most labourers.
The ladies turn to walk out of the village. In a moment, they hear quick footsteps behind them.
Miss Parker.
Yes?
Begging pardon, Mrs. Parker. Mr. Parker has been asking about the revised plans for the terrace. I wondered if you would be so good to tell him that they are finished.
Oh, yes, of course. He will be happy to hear it.
I hear that Miss Haywood is visiting again. That must be pleasant for you all.
Indeed it is. And also her sister. Miss Alison, this is Mr. Stringer.
How do you do?
It's an honor to meet your acquaintance, miss.
I will give you my husband your message. Good day, Mr. Stringer.
Mr. Stringer continues to look at Alison as if in a trance, so Mary calls him to attention.
Mr. Stringer?
Yes. Good day, Mrs. Parker. And to you too, Miss Alison.
Good day. That young man seemed very grave. Perhaps he is still mourning his father.
Yes, that must be it. Hard for him. Poor lad, he and his father were close, and he lost his mother years ago.
The poor soul.
She turns back to glance at him once more, and finds that he is still fixed in the place where they left him, gazing in their direction. When he sees her looking back at him, he recollects himself and turns back to the building site. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Parker Brothers Build the Boardwalk. If you are listening for words in the Monopoly auditory scavenger hunt, the thimble, horse, and boot game pieces were mentioned today. Join us next week when the Parker family goes to London and the Haywoods run into a former friend of Georgiana's. From all the cast of DIY Austen Drama, we bid you a pleasant week.